So I'm fairly okay with the position it's at, but the next thing, really one of the biggest and handiest things, is to make an image viewer. Let's see how my pen is doing today. Okay, seems to be behaving. Who knows? That was a fascinating thing, but not even going to bother trying to save it. I am. Like a next small project, I think might be just a simple little tool, a desktop drawing tool. I don't know if you can even see the mouse pointer just now, and look at it. Never mind. I'm not going to fuss with this. What I need to think about is, how do I actually want an image viewer to work in my editor? Because at the moment the editor doesn't leave the screen, and an image viewer really, wobbly, should occupy the whole screen. So what do I want to happen at the moment? That the image render is complete and the little blue bar at the bottom has told you complete. Because I think that what I want is something to immediately occupy the whole screen. Just because that is a bit it's a bit unexpected. The render may or may not take some time. The editor is running, implying that you're back in control. Well, you are back in control. The little blue bar is about the things you're not in direct control of, really. That's what I feel like. So what happens? The blue bar also is not part of the GUI. The blue bar, rather like the animation position update when the when the anim's playing, is managed from main. One of the few things it is. That's my nearly going again. Managed from main. It's just drawn on top of the GUI. It doesn't have to be like that. I could make a little gadget at the bottom of the screen. I said before, the recursor itself doesn't have an update function or anything like that. It's just run through the GUI, which I'm okay with. The couple of things that aren't are outside. Anyway, so I have to decide. Because this blue bar is run separate from the GUI, it appears on top of everything. My first thought was that I'd like a little button to appear down here. When it said rendering complete, a button could appear which said show render. The problem with that is that button could never appear on top of the bar. The button would have to be a child of the worktop in order for it to appear reliably on top of the worktop. If it didn't, then once it had appeared, clicking on the worktop would hide the button. But it could be a child of the worktop. It's just that it would end up in a strange position, in the code. That's not really a problem. But anyway, one way or another, without changing the format of the blue barcode, I can't have the button appear there anyway, because the blue bar would obscure it, and it would obscure it when the button initially appeared, because the blue bar would still be visible saying render complete, and it would obscure it if another new message appeared. So it brings me on to my thought about how the actual viewer itself should work, and that maybe um, it should just be an ever-present gadget somewhere. Maybe up here. This is the place where it's most logical. This is really about editing. Well, I don't know if you can. I can see the mouse pointer. The sidebar is about editing. The top bar is about previews and renders. So the image viewer, if it was a thing that could be opened at any point, belongs in the top bar. But the top bar is getting crowded. For larks, let's have a little look. Where? You know, it doesn't look that bad. I could stick another button in here. What is it? It's the image viewer. It's sort of like a separate thing to all these. It's maybe belongs just snuck in beside Project Untitled, because it is a little bit related, not exactly related, but it's a little bit like a thing associated with your files. Kind of like Project is. I must put an about in. But it's a thing associated with your files. And well, yeah, so one of the things that the image viewer should, or I would quite like it to be able to do, is to be able to display two images side by side. It's not really essential. The most important thing about the image viewer is for it to make it really easy to view the last image you rendered and give you an option to save it if you want to, or just discard it immediately. Or more specifically, maybe save a copy. Yeah. Yeah, so actually, if the image viewer was called something more specific like view last render, or view last image, view, yeah. Do I want to say I want to make something that just views images? No, I don't really, because I'm not mad keen on the Windows 10 default image displayer, but it's okay. And if I wanted to make a thing that displayed images, then I would, I guess, write a completely separate program. Which brings me on to the other thing, do I want to just make a separate process for viewing images? No, I really don't. I had such a hard time getting the previous process to work that I really don't. I want to just build it in here. I want to be able to click a button that says view, I think, view most recent images. I could make a specific type of button that changed color when it had new information for you. Or I could, when a process was complete, have an alert box pop up on the screen and say image render complete. Click OK to view, or click cancel to just leave it for then. And the button would still be in this corner, I guess, saying view recent image, view last render, view last image. Could it be in the render menu? Or should I just make it pop up? Should I not be so fussy about interrupting? If I'm going to make an alert, that's an interruption anyway. It's never exactly clear when an image render is going to end because, well, I'm not getting that much information out of the process. So, partly down to me just not trying to get much. I could possibly get more, even using my sort of primitive file little communication system. Anyway, the main thing is that unexpected interruption, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe because the other thing is the way that image viewer is going to appear and what it is going to look like is still open to question. There are a couple of options. My instinct is that when you click it, it takes over the entire screen. That anything that is not related to looking at an image is taken away from the screen, so you get as much viewing, as much viewing area as possible. Let me think. It's not, I wouldn't say it's an advantage, or a thing about that is that it means that I could, when the image viewer is opened, I could just open the image then, and I could close it when the image viewer is closed. And I would just add the image viewer as a single desktop-sized gadget to the desktop. I would shut down any open windows that I knew of. Well, I have links to the references to the windows that would be open. I can hide them. If they exist, I can hide them, and then if they exist, I can show them when you exit. I don't think I'm going to shy away from just having it fill the whole screen. And what I want the display to look like will basically be the image filling the display with a save copy button and some gadgets to manage the zoom, like to display it at 1 pixel, pixel to pixel scale, and to display the entire image, fitting it onto the screen. And a simple capacity to scroll around it, and I suppose zoom. I mean, there's no need not to zoom, it's just a little extra faff, But I shouldn't be afraid of faff. It helps when you faff. So I think that this is basically the place I'm coming to, is it's going to have a button saying view most recent image. None of this applies to video. In video you will still, if you want a video, you make a bloomin' file. You're not going to store it all in your memory. But view most recent image, which will bring up the image viewer with an option to save the most recent image. I could, when you click render still, say most recent image is unsaved, click OK to continue anyway. And that's okay, that's a single click, so you click still and then OK. Is that okay? I could build an option, literally build a preference that is don't bother asking. Because I think I would find it annoying to have the one extra click. If I know that what I'm aiming for is to render a video, but I need to sample the animation in lots of places, so I might do 15, 20 quick renders as quick as I can, then yeah, taking away the click is worth it. It feels like it is. So this is what I'm settling on, a button. Dare I try and draw with a mouse? No, I daren't. A button here. Not that my tab tablet is... Yeah, look, there it goes again. Watch this. That's it being broken. And that's it being put back together. And that's it working again. Ah, well. Yeah, so another button added there. Not quite there, actually, there. Anyway. And maybe an alert. But I think that the button, maybe an alert when the process is, when the render's finished. But I think that the button will be a special button and it will just light up. Or it doesn't need to be a special button. I could just say new image exclamation point. Yeah, well. No, I think I will make it a new button. I think I will make it something that lights up red or something when there's a new image. And what it will open is a thing which basically fills the screen. It's a new gadget on the desktop. It will hide any open edit windows, options windows. This will have a save copy button, and it will have show all and scale 1 to 1, and it will have scrolling facilities and, I guess, zooming facilities. And it will have a close button, which will take you back, but you can always click open again and you'll see the most recent image render. I could also make it a preference that it opens the image viewer upon completion of the render, because again, it might not be a thing you want to do, I would want to do, but if I was in this process of going, well, I just want to like quickly look at a bunch of frames and I know I'm never keeping them. And what I have found is that that's what I'm using the image render for 90% of the time. Very rarely do I see an image I want to keep when I think, actually I want to see that as part of an animation. So, let me see. Let me stretch and see that I've spent nearly 20 minutes just thinking about it. It was really clever of me to put 0 speed into the list of speeds. I'll go and change that just now, because it's easy. And I'll make the speeds more subtle. This is I could probably have a lowest speed, but this is too much of a change from lowest to, because then immediately it's getting really quite fast, to the point of stupidness. And it's very easy to change, so U is U. Recursor speed. No need, strangely, for 0.0, but I will have maybe 0.0005 and see what that's like, half the speed of the slowest, and then this is too fast, twice the speed of that, then maybe to that, then actually, you know, because it's like the fastest is just too fast, and that's almost as fast as the fastest was. I'm going to have a little go. And the play speed unit 0, it can't, I'm pretty sure that if it's not in this list, it can't go that speed. What am I thinking? Yeah. Okay, so I've got to make some gadgets. I've got to make the image editing gadget, or the image viewing gadget. So that's the slowest now. And that looks... yeah. Oh man. That seems like a huge gap. So that's slowest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. It just massively jumps. I'm not really thinking about that at all. But it can't go up that slowly. What about going to point 6? And then that's gone up by a 0.004. 0.004 again would take you to point 1. And then a super, like what becomes the super fastest is 0.005, 5 times faster again than this. 0.003. So it still is a big jump at the end compared to how it's crept before. How nice to be distracted by something so totally meaningless. Well, not totally, but fairly, when really what I should be doing is something much more tedious. Or not tedious, that's not actually what I mean. It's just where there's a little bit of uncertainty. Slow, bit faster. That being the fastest actually seems okay to me. Pretty fast. Medium. Yeah. And there's this as slowest. I think that that'll do for now. Could go slower. Could always go slower. This video is going to be huge. Okay. So I am not going to get very far into this just now, but what I guess I'll do is think about an alert button. Am I going to bother starting with that? Or am I going to just say new image exclamation point? I think I will. I'm not going to bother with that. It's a nice thing to have, and I should make one anyway, but what the heck, I got other options. So maybe I should just start straight with an image gadget, an image viewer gadget, which I'm going to do, and it's going to go in a cursor because there will only be one of them open. And it's going to refer directly to the other aspects of the cursor, like the draw mode options and the render options and the gradient set editor, in order to hide those gadgets when it's open and then show them again as it's closed. So I'm going to go below the gradient editor and I'm going to say class image viewer extends gadget, and there will be some things it requires. One will be a panel, and that will be called, I don't know what, main.panel. Not main.panel, it'd be called main::panel. That might not actually be true, to be fair. In fact, for this time being, it will not be true. It will have finish draw, which I know takes this, I think, override, and it will have finish resize, it will have a new, and I don't know if I'm going to bother passing much to new. It will, you know, I could pass stuff like a width and a height, but this is a thing which is going to occupy the whole of the desktop. And it's, you know, what am I going to do? Am I going to say, yes, I'll build in the functionality that will allow it to do something I find less functional? Yes, I suppose I should. shouldn't I? You should be able to make an image viewer appear anywhere, inside a window if you want. But I'll make it go by default to the desktop. But it will, in this case, need a parent gadget equals null, and x float equals 0.0, y float equals 0.0. The reason I set these things is because I know that if I pass these defaults into my gadget setup, then what it will do is it will make this gadget occupy the full space of the parent gadget. Y, width, height, the full face of it. These are border sizes, which I want 0 of, and I want the costume to be blank. Those are things that you don't have to. If you don't make the costume blank and you don't set up the borders, what you get is a totally standard gadget, which is like it looks just like a panel or a button, but I'm going to force this to be blank because I'm going to draw all over it after. There's no point. Well, that may change, come to think of it. There's another type of costume that might be more appropriate, but... Or... Well, let's see. Fishery size. Not on this occasion. Right, this will need loads of other things, but I suppose I know for starters I will need world to screen or something like that. G matrix equals new G matrix. Pretty sure I'll need something like that. And maybe I'll need screen to world, probably not that much. But I will need to store things like the offsets and the scales. And will I be bold and just use G vectors? Offset equals new G vector, and field scale G. It shouldn't be. Yeah, like I'm not going to make this a G vector because I'm not going to do non-linear. You know, I'm not going to do variable horizontal and vertical scales. I'm just going to scale it by a number. You're going to zoom or zoom out. Now, it will also need, and actually this is going to go first. Not that I'm really rigorous about this, but I have a vague convention of extra gadgets going first. It will need a save button. And it will need a scale 1 button. And I will just say, and it will need a show all button. And what else will it need? A scale 1 button, a show all button. I'm not going to put in like zoom plus and minus because I will rely on, for the time being, using the right mouse wheel. When I get, no, right mouse button, when I get a new mouse, I will go back to using the mouse wheel. The reason I can't, and anyway, this very annoying thing. Now, scale 1 button, show all button, close button. And I think that that's all for now. Save button, scale 1 button, show all button. Now, the other thing is do I want to really think ahead here? Because the thing that would be quite nice to do me concentrate for a moment. The thing that would be quite nice to do would be to compare side by side two images. Now, do I want to put all that in when you've got an image viewer on your desktop? This is an app that runs on the desktop. It's not quite the same. Being able to get the two things right exactly side by side really easily and scroll around them both, zoom around them both. I think I'm going to put it in. Even if it's a pain in the bum, or it's something that I rarely use, I feel like well, and the way that it would work is there would be a button on the screen which is something like load comparison or load comparison, I guess. And when you click on it, the screen is just divided down the middle, and the latest image you've rendered with its save button and everything is on one. Save, scale 1, show all, and close button. The close button might stay up in the ultimate top right. Is all on one side, and on the other side is another image with a scale 1, show all button. The close button is for the whole thing. Then maybe I would, it'd be slightly confusing, but I might want to be able to close the compare, the comparison window itself. So I might want to make some distinction between, so where the last render window was, the comparison window, where the last render window has a save button, the comparison viewer would have a close button. And there'd be one button, and it might just be in the center at the top, kind of like it appears on YouTube or somewhere like that. Maybe it would have to be at the top right of everything. Well, it would be a nice thing to have. Do I want to have it? It does mean another button on the screen. The fewer buttons the better, but also for the purposes of the viewer, I think I will probably make it that as long as you're holding down the middle mouse button, all of the buttons just get hidden. Let me see. I'm really thinking about this because it is a big extra stress. It's just a bunch of extra code for something that I may not use that much. And it does mean shaving off this, which is maybe not too bad. It's something I've done before, and I should in the past have tried to make it a more general, a scrolling, zooming gadget that just shows an image in it. In fact, I have other code which is a scrolling, zooming gadget with an image in it. So this image viewer is one thing, but really there's another class of gadget which is just image gadget or scroll gadget. And I know I've got another one of those, but I also know it's got a bunch of stuff in it that I don't think I want. So let me think again. Now in a scroll gadgets, well, the other thing is when you open the compare viewport, does it at that moment ask you for an image, or does it open an image which it knows you generally compare things with? Like it stores the comparison image and offers you an option to load a new comparison image if there is none. Think, think, think. These are the things I'm going to think about for another couple of hours. I've just gone past half an hour. Haven't done an awful lot here. But I have, well, I've got that to start. And also, I've basically made decisions about how it's going to work for the time being. And I wonder if I can run it just now. Didn't do anything too strange. And the options just struck me just now. I don't need to go all the way to do preferences. Well, maybe I do. Well, the thing I was going to say is I don't necessarily need to make a preferences screen for the sake of determining whether or not you're prompted for certain things in the process of rendering images. A preferences screen might make more sense. There might be some things that I would shave off other options displays and actually stick in a preferences window. But in this case, I already have a space here, image options. One of them can be automatically overwrite previous, or something like, how would I phrase it? Something like prompt when previous render unsaved, on, off, and a show image upon render complete, on, off. And if you don't show the image, all that you get is new image in the box, in the button that'll be up here. And I think that is actually, like, I'll do that for now anyway. Saves me making a preferences box for just now and being able to alter the option still. Since I made this a tiny bit wider, these kind of look okay, and the numbers might always fit because of this. This is a truncated float that gets displayed here. Like, I don't know what the biggest number is. I don't want to put in 0.00, 9.9999, 99999 or something anyway. And it fits. And these, sure, maybe you're going to have 10,000 plus. And it just fits, so you could go up to 100,000. This one won't quite, I guess. It's just creeping into the edges. They won't overlap the other gadgets because my GUI is so hideously... what's the word? I still didn't fix that. Because my GUI is really inefficient, basically. I like the way it works, but it is not efficient. But anyway. So, I will continue to build the image viewer next time.